Hi, everybody. Welcome to Living in Arizona with your host, Natasha Tomlinson. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty great, actually. How about yourself, Lee? How are you holding up?
I'm holding up very well. I'm thinking of going to Hawaii.
Ooh, I've never been. Well, okay, so do you go to the Big Island or where?
I am going to the Big Island. I have decided that if there is going to be a civil war, that if I'm going to be stranded, I want to be stranded on an island that is away from all human life on the mainland. Because I can't trust that people will behave responsibly at this point.
Well, I think that's a given. It's just, the level of lack of responsibility I'm not sure about, but they'll be.
Those were parents. Those were parents. That's all I kept thinking while I watched TV. Those are people's parents.
Yeah.
I'm so horribly disappointed in people's behavior. It's shocking.
Well, I think that's one thing that we all can find common ground on, right? Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, these extremists, their behavior is unacceptable.
Well, I'm a California guy, so I didn't have to worry about me. But you live in Arizona where we need to count everything twice, and we're not sure what side of the fence we're on.
And one of the guys was from Arizona, right? Didn't they find him here? The one with the big, beard.
The horn guy was from Arizona?
I think so. I think the horn guy was from Arizona.
Awesome.
I'm sorry I have to admit that, but yes, I do believe he was from Arizona.
So as an amusing side note, do you know that he called the FBI directly and told them who he was? That's the craziest part of that story. He called the FBI and told him his identity, that he was Horn Guy and where he lived, and that was him.
Wow. I have to admit, I haven't been following it closely, but that that says it all right there.
Yay.
That says it all. Wow.
I'm gonna guess Phoenix, not Scottsdale. Because today we're talking about Scottsdale.
Okay.
And when we talk about Phoenix, I'll go, yay, Phoenix. I like Phoenix Golf, actually, over Scottsdale Golf. But that's neither here nor there. Today we are talking about living in Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the basics. Let's say that I have decided to give up on my evil wanton ways of enjoying perfect weather here in San Diego, and I need the golf course surroundings of lovely Scottsdale. And it is. I've been out to that Indian reservation and played golf there. It is some of the best golf I've played in the entire world, and I have played all over. First of all, let's talk about the Scottsdale real estate market. What does the market look like? What's a median price? Is there even a thing like an entry level in Scottsdale? Let's talk overall real estate.
Oh, goodness. Entry level in Scottsdale. Well, first and foremost, the Arizona real estate market on a whole is hot, and Scottsdale is no different. The price point really doesn't seem to matter. People are leaving the states with higher taxes, crappy weather, more congestion and things of that nature, whether they're retired, semi-retired, working from home, whatever the case may be. They are fleeing to the Sunbelt states, and thankfully, Arizona is one of those. So, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, all in all, Lee. And the median price here, oh goodness gracious! I mean, we're looking up around $500,000 for the median price, because you have condos, a condo, 1-bedroom condo that will sell for, say, $190,000.
Perfect.
Right?
My golf retreat.
Your golf retreats. Or you're all the way on the higher echelon of things where you can be, 10 million and above. So that's where that number comes from. Now, of course, there's more properties selling in the middle, medium prices, closest to 4s, 5s, 6s, 700s. Fewer people are able to, of course, acquire a $10 million property, but for the lucky few, there are such properties available here. And speaking of the entry level, yes, if you're looking under $300,000, you're definitely looking at a condo. More likely, you're looking in Old Town Scottsdale, which is nothing to sneeze at. It's a little older condos, older communities, maybe one of the high rises there that are, 6, 7, 8 floors is what I mean by high rise for those from back east. but for us, that would be considered a high rise. So you do get some views from that vantage point. So that's nice. And the price point is agreeable. You just have to watch out for those homeowners associations. Those can certainly pack a powerful punch.
Sure, I completely get that. That's always, it's my longstanding joke. Maybe you should explain homeowners association to people that aren't familiar with them. I describe them as Wiccans. They are your neighbors who dress up like fairy elves and go out one night of the week and not tell their neighbors, and they get together around a tree and they discuss things that cost you money, but you don't really know who they are. Just like Wiccans.
Just like Wiccans. They, if you've ever gone head to head with a member of an HOA, a homeowners association, you would get the joke that we're chuckling about here. But
it does work just like that. They do get together in somebody's garage in the middle of the night on a Wednesday. They don't notify every other resident, and boom, we're all painting our houses green.
Yeah, I guess you live in an HOA then. I do not live in an
I've
HOA.
had to negotiate a few, and that's where the joke came from. Back in the short sale days, people wanted to know, can you negotiate with an HOA? And my answer was, no, I don't even. They're like Wiccans. And I used to tell it at seminars, that exact joke. And I said, I'm going to keep telling this joke until I meet a Wiccan. And of 3 years doing presentations on short sales, I met one Wiccan who said, don't take the joke out, but I am a Wiccan because it's funny. It's accurate. It's really tough because it becomes about politics. And my only fear historically about HOAs has always been the politics of an HOA, not what they do, especially when they're corporate. And I think that's something to discuss. A homeowner home run HOA as compared to a corporate HOA. The corporate HOAs run just fine. There's no issue with those. But the homeowners of a track running their HOA, it is that crazy woman who turns on the sprinkler down on the corner who's in charge of the HOA. And that's where the problems lie. I would think, I have not ever bought into an HOA, so maybe you can help me with this.
No, I have, but I'm not currently in an HOA. So here, they are largely corporate run.
That's good.
Run by these HOA management companies that carry out all the rules and regulations, the CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions of that particular subdivision. And it's just, it just gets very, very interesting because there can be a changing of the guard. There can be new board members that decide to change the rules, and then there's supposed to be a timeline as to notifying the rest of the subdivision that there has been a change of the guard, and anyone that's allowed to vote in this particular scenario. But right now, it's just a very tricky thing, especially there's a lot of things that have come up in this COVID environment that we have now. A lot of people questioning the validity of the homeowners association and the fees that are charged, especially since some of the common areas have been closed down. And so they're questioning why the fees are as high as they are. If there can be any reprieve, and all of that, of course, is for attorneys to hash out at a later date. But they may have some claim there, and I guess time will tell how that whole thing shakes out. Yeah.
What does a real estate transaction in the COVID era look like? Are we more Zoomy? Are we more? How does it work out there? I know how it kind of works here. It's much like Florida. Nobody seems to give a crap, and they're just business as usual. How is it out in Scottsdale? Are they restrictive? Are they keeping an eye on it?
It is returning to business as usual. When this first started, everything was Zoom. People wanted to do Zoom real estate, Zoom showings, no entries. We do have some rules as far as not too many adults in the home at the same time, no more than 2 adults in the home at the same time. So that's one thing. As far as all your lending side and documentation, that's all handled electronically, and it has been for a long time anyway. With our electronic signature platforms that we have, going over documentation, online, on the internet, on camera with these various bits of technology that we are all so used to now. And so we're grateful for technology for that reason, that we haven't really been able to skip a beat. I've done some showings out on the lawn, some signings on the lawn, remote signings on the lawn, because no one wanted to go inside in their house. They bring their table and chairs outside. We sit there with the notary and we hash everything out. But technology and FedEx, UPS, all of those things are our friends out here. That's for sure.
Excellent.
And I have to say, everyone has been pretty awesome. I haven't had any clients that object to the way we did things, or to wearing masks or hand sanitizing or not touching doors and handles and cabinets and things. Everyone seems to be pretty agreeable. So that's helpful.
It does sound very agreeable. Moving forward, what I recall of Scottsdale, like if I were doing this strictly from memory, there seems to be like a main drag through the center of Scottsdale with the resorts and condos and the golf courses.
Yes.
I know that it stretches out further than that, but when we talk about commercial convenience, I see this a lot, especially in Vegas, where they're sticking tracts of houses out in the middle of nowhere with no commercial development, and you've now got to drive 25 minutes to get, groceries.
Mm-hmm.
How is the commercial aspect of Scottsdale and shopping development going, especially with the pandemic?
I'd say pretty well. I mean, the main drive that you're speaking of would be Scottsdale Road. Yeah. There. And I mean, there's a number of various commercial projects, restaurants, hotels, shopping, dining, spas, all of that along that main drag. As you get further north into Scottsdale, more housing developments are popping up. And as the populations come to those areas, we're seeing the commercial developments as well. One large commercial development that has resurfaced is the City North commercial development, which is on what I'm going to call the Scottsdale-Phoenix border, over there just east of Desert Ridge. So north of the 101 and just west of Scottsdale Road. Right before we had our famously known real estate market crash in 07, 08, 09, and blah, blah, blah. That parcel was purchased, and there was expected to be luxury development in that parcel. And of course, because of the crash, that didn't happen. That parcel ended up in bankruptcy court, and now they now have the rights to proceed with development for that area. So we are seeing a lot of that. So that's amazing. Some of the office buildings are popping up also. We see Nationwide Insurance has a huge presence in that area as well. In Old Town Scottsdale, there is a lot of revitalization that's taking place. A lot of the clubs down there are getting a bit of a facelift, and we'll see some changes come to the restaurants, clubs, and bars in that area as well. So it's just kind of exciting.
Excellent. Moving forward to the next topic of living in lovely Scottsdale.
Okay.
Schools, traffic, transportation, the bread and butter of wanting to live in the city. If I move to Scottsdale, the reason I would do it is for basically the fall and spring weather, because yes, I agree, the summer there is scorched earth. But tell me about the rest of the year. If I'm looking at this as a secondary location, especially moving into the area, and even if I decide to stay there year round, what's the weather like year round?
Well, all right. Arizona is definitely known for its beautiful winters and fall and spring. And the summer, it separates the weak from the strong. Let's just say that. Okay. The summer months, typically, let's call it mid-May to Halloween. I mean, it's almost Halloween, where you're 100+ degree weather. This past year was an extremely dry year for the Southwest as a whole, but definitely in our area, where more than a third of the days we didn't have any rain. We're over 100 days with no rain at this point. So that also adds to the dryness in the area. It adds to the heat. But I mean, we definitely, we Arizonans, we as a human race, we're resilient. We figure out what the problem is and we figure out a solution. So many people have pools around here, and if you don't have one, like I'm one who doesn't have a pool, but I have plenty of friends with pools. So we definitely make our way over to their backyard to help cool things off. You will notice that you're up earlier in the summer months than you are during the winter months. The sun just helps with that. So you shift your hours and you shift your productivity to be outside during the cooler hours, which would be the mornings and the evenings, and you're indoors doing Zoom meetings and things during the heat of the day. As far as transportation is concerned, you definitely need a vehicle out here. Arizona is not like other major cities where there's trains, planes, automobiles, and everything else in order to connect you. And I remember that. I've been here 24 years now. Oh my God. And I came out here without a car because I grew up in New Jersey, and you had New Jersey, you had New York right there. You just hopped on the bus, train, whatever, and you got around. And I didn't even think about it. And that was my first purchase for sure, coming out this way.
That is a westernly coast thing. I just moved to an area here in San Diego where it's now, I'm a beach person, and I had a car forever because I travel so much in so many distances. But moving to the beach, first and foremost, here in San Diego, nobody has a car. You don't need a car anymore. Like it's a scooter mentality around here. Yeah. It's all about scooters and bikes when you move to real San Diego, especially around downtown. Now, when I was coastal, I understood it. Everything's in walking distance, but certainly in downtown San Diego, okay, now it's an extra mile away. So it's definitely a bike and scooter community, remarkably.
Interesting. I think Tempe is coming along that way, especially near ASU. Arizona State University, and they're putting in the light rail. There's all sorts of road construction happening down that way, and there are some scooters, and it looks like they've brought them back. They were banned or suspended for a period of time, and they're now allowed again, as long as people don't litter the streets with them. But I think we're moving in that direction. I mean, ride share is definitely huge here. Uber and Lyft have a large presence. Waymo also has a large presence here. If you're in the East Valley, you'll notice these driverless cars that are bumping around town. So that's kind of cool and scary at the same time. So, the next 5-10 years could be very different transportation-wise. But as of right now, prepare yourself to buy a vehicle.
Excellent. Schools. I do have a 16-year-old. I doubt I can pry her away from her flag team, but let's just say that I dragged her along with me. Tell me about the school districts of Scottsdale.
All right. Arizona as a whole the Phoenix metro area, let's say, is not known for its stellar school system, okay? However, if you are looking for top schools, you do tend to gravitate towards Scottsdale. There are a number of public school options, private school options, and charter school options also, and they are highly rated and well sought after, regardless of the type of schooling that you're looking for, whether it is grade school, high school, special needs, or college, as far as community college are concerned. So yeah, they're great options. City of Scottsdale has plenty of money in order to fund those schools now. Many moons ago, Scottsdale really wasn't known for its schools because we were primarily second home, and people came here to just soak up the sun and escape their families back east in the weather and whatnot, and heal their bones. But that has certainly changed, and there's many options available.
Nice. Are you a Cox community, or what are the utilities like? I always check because I'm an internet geek. And I cringe at the thought of Cox following me everywhere I go. But how it is Cox. You're nodding your head to the Cox thing. They're everywhere.
They're like they are. They are everywhere. So we have Cox and CenturyLink are the two main options here. And I mean, they're very similar in nature. They're competitive, but they're not known for their stellar customer service, in my opinion. So take it or leave it.
Sure. Completely. I completely understand that statement. How is the economy and job growth currently in Scottsdale? My big hang up, especially when people go, I want to move to San Diego. Okay, what are you going to do for a living? Work at Walmart? I mean, We're still pretty much shut down. California specifically everything is non-essential short of really essential within California right now. How is job and growth, and how has it been affected by the pandemic?
Well, that is highly dependent on what sector you're in, right? So the restaurant, hospitality, hotel industry has been decimated, really, by the pandemic. A lot of early on, we had all the events that were taking place, all the tourism, spas, golf courses. They've all been hurt by COVID-19. If you are in other sectors, if you're in the hospitals or specialty or other businesses, and you can transition quickly to being remote, then you survived and did fairly well. Real estate is doing fairly well, as long as you're able to stay in front of your client base and really have more than one means of gaining business. You never want to be pigeonholed into any one particular thing, but and everyone else has kind of just had to pivot. Isn't that the word of 2020?
Yes.
In 2021, pivot.
I think the word I've used with other people is do something. Doesn't matter. Just do something. Being at home just gains weight. And I'm the first one to attest to, I'm great during the day. It's the midnight snacks now.
I mean, I think we all have, myself included, quarantine 15 plus, whatever may be. The gyms are closed. We end up on the mountains. We're walking up and down the streets. We're doing whatever we can, but we're still fidgety. It's a change. And so a lot of times fidgety means eating something more than you should.
Are the parks still open? Is there still activity and life? Are there things to do right now?
Well, I mean, the public parks are open. The hiking trails are open. They go back and forth on sporting events, youth sporting events, high school events, college events. One moment they'll be open and allowed. The next moment they won't be. It looks like this morning, I think I heard something about that. They canceled all youth sports last week. This week they're back on because there was a huge there were some angry parents, from what I understood, and so they took a second look at it and overturned their ruling. And then, as far as professional sports are concerned, I received a message a little while ago that Phoenix Suns is not playing, until further notice. So it just totally depends on each particular organization and how they're run.
So they're playing in the bubble down below. What people don't know about, you're the Grapefruit Circuit as well, which is just minutes from Scottsdale. That was my favorite time to travel. I do know this. It's my favorite time to go play golf. It's my favorite Scottsdale period of time there. You've got baseball players around on the golf courses. It's wonderful. Are they built? Do you know if they're bubbling spring training in the Grapefruit Circuit?
I haven't heard what's happening with spring training. I haven't. I know as far as golf is concerned and the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open, that's supposed to take place. It will look very different than it has in years past. I'm sure the attendance will be down tremendously and prices will be up tremendously in order to get in there. But as far as spring training, I haven't heard a ruling on that yet.
Well, I will give a nod for TPC Scottsdale. I love that golf course.
Have you played?
I have played it, and I did exceptionally well. And when I walked back, and I played it in the dead of summer because that's the only time you can afford it. And I have a pretty good budget and lifestyle, and still it's better to play it in summer. Just get it over with. I had a great round, and I asked the guys, I said, this is where the pros play, right? And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, you're not picturing it with stadium-sized seating on either side of that par 3 with, 5,000 fans screaming down your neck while you're trying to make an approach shot. He goes, you're playing it like a municipal golf course where you don't care. He goes, it's really different with a crowd in there because it's such a tight little golf course. But it's a phenomenon. Gotcha. The Waste Management Open. Or at least it's the Waste Management Open, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's changed names a couple of times, so I believe, yes, it is still the
Waste Management Open, which to me is funny. And for those of you who don't know, it is the corporate company that basically does all the trash for the entire Western United States. Yeah, we have Waste Management.
People do get wasted at the Waste Management.
They do. I have
names. Yes.
Back in the day, that was a thing with me and my friends to go because everything's free. I don't think people realize how much fun it is to go to a golfing event. It's a blast. I thought it was going to be uptight. No,
it was. It was great. I mean, it's the only golf event that I've attended, but I've gone pretty much every year, and it's a great time.
It's so much fun. It's ridiculous. So I look forward to them bringing that back. Especially, I can't describe it to everybody. It's not what you think it would be. It's somewhere between like a food and wine event and a sporting event. It's like, what if the two had a child? It would be a golf competition. They've got big sponsors who are giving away stuff all over the place. There's lots of food. There's lots of alcohol. Everybody's in a good mood. And then you just go lay out on the grass and watch people play golf. And they're just casually walking next to you playing golf like it's no big deal. I remember laying on a tee box at the LA Open thinking, this is crazy. That's Tiger Woods, and I'm just laying on a tee box, laying back in the grass.
It's great.
It's great. It's great. He doesn't even bat an eye at and waves to you. They're all very pleasant people, except the ones that don't do well. They're not pleasant. There are not pleasant golfers.
We all can't be winners.
They're funny. Last but not least, the biggest question, certainly with Phoenix nearby, no knock on Phoenix. Crime rate I know is higher there. What's the crime rate like in Scottsdale?
It's barely worth talking about. So
they just keep it to Phoenix. They just push
it aside. No,
sounds like the way they do it in Vegas.
I mean, there's crime everywhere, right? But Scottsdale is a tourist destination, so they do have a strong police presence, although they are dressed rather nicely and rather kind to the tourists there. But I will tell you to be careful with any drinking and driving here in Arizona. There really is no tolerance for it. And there's many people who have learned that the hard way. So I would say that Uber and Lyft are your biggest friends, especially when the snowbirds are here, December through May. And use them if you plan on enjoying any type of beverage.
Excellent. Well, then I guess the only thing that's left to talk about is much like Las Vegas, water. Water's the biggest deal, period, right?
Yes.
I will do the sub-note because you put a sub-note about hands-free driving, and that's just going to freak me out. I'll come back to that because I care more about the water than the hands-free driving on today's topics list. Water. It's a big deal in Vegas, and it's definitely affected construction for sure.
Well, we definitely have water and we have access to water. I do get that question pretty often, especially with the amount of growth that we've had here in recent years. Do we have enough access to adequate water to account for everyone that's here and everyone's that's moving here? And I will say that Scottsdale and Arizona as a whole has done a phenomenal job in planning for our water sources. Now, before 1990, the mid 1980s, Scottsdale was heavily dependent on groundwater for its water source, but that is no longer the case. They've come leaps and bounds, and now we have two main sources for water. 90% of the water comes from the CAP, which is Central Arizona Project, or the Salt River Project, and the other 10% comes from a number of wells and the groundwater sources that we have around town. So they've planned, and we're ready for you to come to Scottsdale and live your life. We're prepared for you.
Tell me about hands-free driving. I say it quietly because it just sounds so freaky. Wolverine, self-driving trucks going down the highway at 100 miles an hour, crazy.
But I mean, the thing is, all right, I mean, you can see we're a little bit, we like to do our own thing here in Arizona. That's for sure. We're not quite a band of misfits or anything like that, but we're strong-willed. So what I will say is, it is common to see people going down the road, and they've got their cell phone in hands, and they're kind of doing this whole thing, and I have been guilty of it myself, I must say, but it is no longer allowed. We have all sorts of technology now. There's Bluetooth in the car. There's all sorts of hand-free devices. Your car will even read your text messages to you. There's no excuse for it. So, and more importantly, if you didn't get the message, now there are fines attached to.
I'm blown away. I just assumed, like the rest of the country, when hands-free was a thing, you guys were hands-free. Like when you put that up there, I'm like, oh, we must mean self-driving cars. And then I thought about it. No, they're just now catching up from 5 years ago.
Yes, we've had a lengthy grace period, and the grace period is over. So there's a first offense fine, second offense fine, subsequent fines. So if you don't want to find out about that, then don't drive with your cell phone in your hand.
That's mind-blowing that it. I really thought you were talking like, oh, Tesla cars. We now have self-driving cars.
And by the way, this is still.
And then as you're explaining it, I'm like,
no, don't do it.
That can't be a thing. You guys can't be that far behind, which scares me that probably somewhere like Florida, there's still not hands-free laws.
Yeah, I don't know what they do.
I bet you they don't.
Maybe
they're completely open as business as usual. So I don't know what to say about Florida half the time anymore. I've almost debated moving there because I'm convinced it's just people partying to the end of the world. And sure, why not? If you're going to go, you might as well have fun.
I mean, they look like they're having fun. They all seem to be out enjoying the sun. I have cousins and aunts that live down there, but they tell me about these like huge. What are there? Alligators, crocodiles, or something?
Yes, there's a thing called Alligator Alley out there that you literally drive from. So I guess the equivalent for you would be maybe the longest stretch, maybe to Sonoma. Like they have a real stretch where you're in the swamps on a single road. Whereas you're driving at night, you can see little eyes in the pools next to you.
I will take snakes, scorpions, javelina any day over those monstrosities. No way.
Much like javelina and snake, alligators are not bad eating. Tells you a lot about my travels.
Well, there is a place here in Arizona, in Phoenix, that sells alligator.
I think it's a thing. I didn't know it made it this far out. I've had it in Miami. I've had it in New Orleans. New Orleans. I don't want to upset anybody. They get really mad about that. It's like saying Boise. It's like saying Boise, New Orleans, Tempe. Is it Tempe or Tempe?
It's Tempe.
Tempe.
Mm-hmm.
They're all things. They're all things that make locals very crazy if you don't get them correctly. And I don't. I'm from California. We should get away with everything. We're the neutral place. We're the Switzerland of the states. We don't care about anything here, apparently. With all of that said, how would I find someone to show me around and find an amazing value on a house and to tour the city? Who would I look for? How would I find that person?
Let's see. I don't know. You could pick up this thing, right? And give me a call. I'm more than happy to show someone around and all the beautiful things that Scottsdale has to offer. So they can call, text, email, send a pigeon. I'll still answer.
I feel like you should point at like one of the corners of the screen, because I'm sure it's up on the screen at this moment. Yes. In our real time, it doesn't exist, but yeah, that's perfect. I'll make sure to shoot for that corner in post-production. Okay. I like it when people do that on a video where they're like pointing down, like click here. And wow, you did it. Like, when I do it, it never works. That's why I'm rarely trying to do that on camera. I point to the wrong corners. Please do take advantage of it. Give Natasha a phone call and find out more about the city. Follow her on social media, exactly as it sounds. Natasha Tomlinson. It's easy to find. It's not hard. Just type it in. We will be back next week with yet more information about living in Arizona. We look forward to receiving your emails, your comments, your social media follows, clicks, likes, shares, whatever you got. And we will see you guys next week.